So we are here for our education session with Alan Berg. If you and I have never met before, I run the education sessions here over at the I Do Society. My name is Heidi Thompson. My business is called Evolve Your Wedding Business. And we are here to help you deal with this pesky ghosting problem that seems to be so constantly prevalent in our industry and always a hot topic. So, if you are joining your very first I Do Society education session, I want to introduce you to Mark Chapman. He is the CEO. Mark, tell us a bit about the I Do Society.
Yeah, thanks for being our host, Heidi. Just real quick, my name is Mark Chapman from the I Do Society, and we have these live learning events because we realize that advertising is very complicated, and there are a lot of things that play into the success of your advertising. The goal, our whole goal and mission as a company at the I Do Society is to help wedding businesses reach and convert their ideal couple using big advertising platforms like Google Ads, Meta Ads, and TikTok Ads, because those platforms are incredibly powerful with many options for demographic targeting to reach and convert that ideal couple. But advertising doesn't live in a silo alone. And so once a month, we have these amazing live learning events where we bring in experts like Alan to make sure that the bits and pieces that impact the results of your ad campaigns are also tended to, because we can't do everything. We don't want to do everything. We want to be really good at one thing, and that's advertising. But folks like Alan are amazing at sales training. So that's why we've got Alan here today. That's what we do in our live learning events. And Heidi is an amazing host, better than me, and that's why she's in control. So thank you for letting me introduce myself, Heidi, and back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are ever wondering anything about advertising, Mark's always who I go to, Mark's who I point people to. So take all your advertising questions to him. He can definitely help you out with that. So, what I am going to do here, just so we have a nice, clean recording, is I'm going to mute everyone. And then, Alan, I'm going to unmute you. Fantastic. And we have the fantastic Alan Berg here to give us what I'm sure is going to be a great training. It always is with Alan, right? So, Alan, tell us a little bit about what we're going to get today and what we should be prepared for.
Well, we're going to have a conversation about ghosting, and I do want it to be a conversation. I know we've muted everybody, but we will. We have chat, right? We have a
Yep.
chat, right?
Yep.
So people can definitely ask questions in there. And rather than being, I'm going to put up some slides and we're going to talk about that. I'm just going to have a conversation with you. This is what I do with sales training. I see so many people on here that I know that have either done private training with me, like Sandra. I see you over there in Pennsylvania. Hi, Sandra. And so many other folks. And then people have seen me at conferences. So I don't want to rehash. Here's the slides that you might have already seen. Let's just have a conversation. This is what I do in my private sales training, in the masterminds, and in the workshops. That's what I do. So, any other intro stuff, Heidi? Or
No, I think we're good. I think we're ready to dig in. And like Alan said, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. I will be keeping track of those, keeping an eye on them, making sure you get all of your questions answered. And yes, there will be a recording of this. So, Alan, I'll let you take it away.
yeah, how do I change my view so I can see more people? I'm only seeing like 8. I know there's a way to do that. Somebody
I
throw that
just
in the chat.
updated my Zoom and now it's in the top right. It moved.
Yeah, I go to view and I go to gallery, but I know you can set it to see more people. It's going to be in the settings somewhere. Well, we'll find it. Okay. Anyway, but I see so many names on the list here of people that I do know. So let's talk about ghosting. What is ghosting? Okay. Ghosting is when you respond to somebody's inquiry or you send them a message at any point in a conversation, and then you don't hear back. That's what ghosting is. It's no more complicated than that. As a matter of fact, right now, at this very minute, every one of us is ghosting somebody. We have all just not responded to somebody's message, to their email, to their text, to their message on social media. Every one of us is doing that right now. Now, are we doing that on purpose? Right? Are we just like, I see that and I am not going to respond? Or is it more likely you saw the message, you're busy right now, maybe it's a little bit longer, you don't have the time to respond, so you're just going to say, all right, I'll get to that later. right? How many times have you done that with a message where maybe an email and you go mark it unread and you say, I'll get to that later. And when is later? I don't know, right? Later could be at any time. I have that. I have so many things marked unread in my inbox, and then I'll go and just say, okay, show me everything in the inbox that's not read. And then I look and go, oh crap, look at all this stuff over here, right? So, so first thing I want everybody to think about is we are all guilty of this ourselves. And we're doing it to people that we're interested in. We're doing it for things that we want to find out more about. We're just not making them the priority right now. So when you're getting ghosted, instead of assuming they're not interested, assuming they've booked somebody else, assuming it's a fake lead, right? Instead of assuming any of that, just follow up again and make yourselves more of a priority, right? I hold myself to the standard that I want to hold you guys to. And that's our biggest opportunity is someone that has already inquired with you and has not told you no. That's the biggest opportunity everybody has here. Because think about it. What does it take to get a new inquiry? More advertising, more marketing, more networking, more schmoozing, right? This is what it does. It takes to get, right? More social media posts, more. Well, hang on a second. What about all the people that have already reached out to you and they've made an inquiry through your website, through the Knot, Wedding Wire, Zola, through your social media, through email, text, whatever it is? Well, about all these people that have reached out to you and have not told you no. Have they booked somebody else? You don't know. What if they never responded to you? What if you got an inquiry and you responded right away and you never heard from them? Does that mean they're not interested? Does that mean they've booked somebody else? Does that mean it was a fake lead? You don't know. You don't know. Matter of fact, I did a podcast. For those of you that don't know, I have the Wedding Business Solutions podcast. That's my podcast. You can find it on my website at podcast.alanberg.com. 5 to 10 minutes a week. Every other week, I have a guest on 30 minutes. I've had Mark on several times. So fake leads are different than people who are ghosting you. And I want to just state this right now. I did a podcast on this, and I really thought I was going to get a lot of pushback from people. Oh, you have to say that because you were VP of sales at the Knot. Oh, you publish wedding magazines. Of course, you're going to say that. No, I'm saying it because it's true. You don't know what if a lead is a fake lead if they don't respond to you because you have nothing to go by. Now, I will tell you that there are at least 440 fake leads that I know of for sure because it's us secret shopping. So I know that those are fake leads because we're secret shopping, right, Wade? I mean, that's it. But that's 440 out of the hundreds of thousands that are happening, right? So what I want you to think about is you don't know if a lead is a good lead or a bad lead or a fake lead or a qualified lead or an unqualified lead, can afford you or can't afford you just because they haven't responded to you. And I want you to also think about that you can control something. And what you can control is how you follow up, when you follow up, how often you follow up, the content of your follow-up. And that is going to make the difference between converting more leads and not converting more leads. You don't need more leads, right? If you think about this, Butch, if you closed everybody who inquired with you, you can't handle the work, right? If every single person who reached out booked you, you can't do the work. So we're not supposed to close everybody, right? But if we're not closing them because we're not following up, that's on us. That's not on them, right? That's what it is. So if you are following up quickly, because we know, according to some surveys, the Knot did a survey of their couples, about half the time they chose the first one who responded to them. So fast always helps. Now, I think quickly and better will beat fast because, I mean, an auto reply is technically faster, but auto reply is not a reply, right? I'll get into our secret shopping and what we track and what you can learn from that. But fast is good. A better response is also better. Just this past Monday, I did a sales training for an entertainment company here in New Jersey. So it was 3 people and me on a Zoom call for a couple of hours. And they messaged me on Wednesday. This was Monday. On Tuesday, I got a 5-star review on Google and a message saying, we're already getting better conversion from yesterday just because we did something different. So they inquired and I secret shop them. So, because they inquired about sales training. So I don't want them to tell me what they're doing. I'm going to find out what they're doing, right? Because I've had people where I did a live sales training and I said to them, so how many times do you guys follow up with a lead? Like, oh yeah, we follow up 3 times, whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, not when we reached out, because we reached out and you did 1 and stopped. So what you say and what you do might be different things over here. Well, listen, we're all guilty of not following up as much as we want to, right, Jamel? I mean, we try to, but things get in the way. But you know what? That's not the customer's problem. It's not the customer's problem. So let's step back for a second. By the time you get that inquiry, all right, Molly, by the time somebody goes to your website, fills out your contact form, what has already happened? What's happened is the 0 moment of truth. The 0 moment of truth is when somebody decides that they need something. Okay. So you get a flat tire, you decide you need a tire. There's your 0 moment of truth, right? Somebody puts a ring on it. We're going to need stuff, but we don't need everything right now, but we're going to need stuff. Okay. So then you might say, okay, I need a dress, or I need a venue, I need a caterer, I need a church, I need a whatever. Okay. There you go. By the time they get to your thing, so Ernest, by the time they say, I need an officiant, which could be right away, and it could be, we're getting married in 2 days, right? You got the 2 sides of that. But the 0 moment of truth is when they realize they need what you do. And you want to be as close to that as possible so that you become a choice. Because the paradox of choice is that we all want to know that we've seen all the choices. But when we're shown all of the choices, we can't decide because there's too many choices. Oh, and by the way, if any of you have your name under your picture, that's your company name and not your personal name. If you could put your personal name too, just so we can see who's here, that would be great. Okay, so they have the 0 moment of truth. I need what you do. Okay, I need a wedding planner. I need an officiant. I need a DJ. I need a photographer. I need a videographer, right? Okay. They're now going to look at all the possibilities that are accessible to them. Now, accessible to them is not the same as accessible to the next person, because they're looking on one site, somebody's looking on another, they're reading this magazine, they're going to this wedding expo. People are doing different things. Well, some people take themselves out of the running because they just chose not to be on that particular platform. Like I have taken myself off of TikTok. I am not in the TikTok world. Do not look for me on TikTok. I think I have a profile, but don't look for me there. I don't do anything there. And that's because you aren't looking for me there. As a matter of fact, most of you probably didn't even know that I wasn't there because you're not looking for me there. Okay. However, I'm on Facebook because you're looking for me there. I'm on Instagram. You're looking for me there. I'm on LinkedIn, right? I am there. I know I have something on Pinterest that's probably so old it's moldy, right? Whatever, but don't look for me over there. I'm going where my audience will be looking for me. Now, if I chose not to be on Instagram, then you can't find me. And if you were there looking for somebody like me, I'm not a choice anymore. Now that would be a conscious decision, just like conscious decision that I'm not on TikTok. I didn't be like, what's TikTok? I'm like, what is that? No, I'm not there. So if you choose not to be on a particular platform, including an advertising platform or including a booth at a wedding expo, that's a choice. And that audience won't find you because, and this is coming from somebody that sold wedding advertising, published wedding magazines, was VP of sales at the Knot, right? And I'm going to tell you not to buy advertising, buy access to an audience that doesn't exist anywhere else. Every platform has a unique audience, every one of them, right? Just the Knot and Wedding Wire combined, nobody's got that audience. The Knot and the Wedding Wire audiences are different, right? Not maybe completely different, maybe overlap different, whatever. But the point is that if I'm on Facebook, some of those people are on the Knot, but not all of them, and not today. So when you say I'm going to be here, it's because I want to be in front of that audience. So when you're buying advertising, you're buying 3 things. You're buying the geographics of people who are in your trade area. You're buying the demographics of the people that have the measurable criteria, age, income, ethnicity, college education, all those things are measurable things. And then the psychographics of why do people choose you over somebody else, right? So, why does somebody choose to get married at Sandra's venue as opposed to another venue when they both get great reviews and they both do a great job? Why does somebody choose you versus the other? That's a psychographics thing. That's something that is attracting them. So by the time you get the inquiry, they've done the big search and they start filtering. right? Just like if I go on Amazon, the first thing I do is I click Prime. It's like just 11,000 choices is too many. Let me click Prime. Oh, great. Now it's 9,000 choices. It's still too many choices. Okay, Prime by 11 a.m. No, Prime by 8 a.m. No, Prime, why isn't it here yet? Right? That's the button I want next. Prime, it's here, right? Right, that's the next button, because buy now isn't fast enough. We need to have here now, right? That's going to be the next one. But that's a filter. That's a filter, just like the fact that I went to Amazon is a filter. If I went to Walmart.com, that's a filter because I'm not over there. If I went to Etsy, I didn't go over here. I didn't go to eBay. Those are all filters. Those are choices that the audience is making. So by the time they get to you, and by the way, you don't get any business from your website. You get business through your website. They had to come from somewhere. Somebody can't just be at your website. There's no such thing as I'm at Heidi's website. Well, how'd you get here? And when somebody says I get most of my business from my website, I'm like, wrong answer. Where are they getting to your website from? How many of those people are contacting you from that source? Because your biggest source of traffic isn't necessarily your biggest source of business. It's just more people coming. It doesn't mean it's that. Hey, Mitch in Utah, thanks for the birthday wishes. So by the time you get the inquiry, the filtering has happened where they've looked and said, no, maybe, no, maybe, no. And then you're in this short list. Because think about it. How many people are they actually going to inquire with? How many have fallen off by that time? Right? If you think about it, like Becca, how many people are in your market and category who do something that looks like what you do? I don't mean the same quality. I don't mean the same price. I just mean it looks like what you do. So I don't know what you do, but if you're a photographer, how many photographers are there? If you're a planner, if you're a DJ, if you're an officiant, how many others are there? Like Ernest in Connecticut, how many officiants are there? I know the answer is too many, but they're a lot. And if you think about it, they had hundreds of choices potentially, but they can't choose from hundreds of choices. You can only choose when you have a small group, right? Some of you might know that I do like my bourbon and whiskey. I remember going to the the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. It's where The Shining was filmed. And I asked them, I said, do you have, they brought over the wine list. And I said, do you have a whiskey list? They said, yes, we have 1,400. I said, don't bring it. All right. Kind of wanted to see, like Scott, I kind of wanted to see the list, right? But if you give me 14 good choices, I can't decide. 1,400? This is an impossible decision. So what I did is I did a filtering and said, can you tell me, don't bring the list. Can you tell me what's made in Colorado that's not likely sold outside of the area? Because I'm not going to find it in New Jersey in my local liquor store. And then they told me one. I said, okay, what do you have? They had 3 different ones. This was 50 and 20 or 60. I said, okay, bring me the 20. And then I had this one called 291, which is delicious. And I went down to the liquor store and bought a bottle because I can't find it at home. But I didn't start from 1,400. I said to them, these are my criteria. Made in Colorado, not likely sold out of the air. Okay. Well, what are they doing when they're looking for you? Right? When they're looking for you, Mitch, they do their search, they get all these choices, and they start. I've heard that Tinder is swipe left is bad. I don't know from personal experience, but I've heard. Right? If anybody wants to validate that, feel free to out yourself. No, okay. So swipe left is bad. Swipe right is good. Swipe up is supposed to be really good or something like that. So Jamel, when you get an inquiry, you got to right swipe. You got to, hey, you're on the list here. Now, the best list is you're the only one on the list. That's the best list, right? I was at a wedding you did, and oh my gosh, when we're getting married, you're the DJ. Done. That's it, right? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes. But guess what? Just because they were at a wedding that you did that was really great doesn't mean they weren't at another wedding where somebody also didn't do great. You don't have a monopoly on great, right? People often say to me, yeah, they should refer me because I do a good job. I said, if you don't do a good job, get out of the business. Right? That's your ante. That's your table stakes. Like doing a good job. Don't stand up and say, hey, that's why you should choose me because I do a good job. No, sorry. Right? That's not enough. Right? Yes. If you don't do a good job, get out of the way. But you do a good job, and everyone listening here knows people in their market, in their category that does a really good job, that gets really good reviews, that charges what you do, maybe more. Everybody here knows somebody like that, right? We all know people that do a really good job. Okay. Why should they choose you? Well, by the time you've gotten that inquiry, they already cut that list down from dozens, tens, hundreds, thousands to 3, 5, 7, maybe some of them. There's a couple of crazies out there that do 10 and more, and then they start getting all the responses and go, whoa, okay, self-inflicted. That was our fault. We should not have filled out all those contact forms. That's on us. Those are the exceptions. Typically, you're going to be 3, 5, 7, somewhere in that, right? Venues, they start with a bigger search. They don't necessarily go out and start visiting 20 venues, right? They might visit 3 or 5. And if they don't find what they're looking for, maybe they'll expand it. Just like when my sons were looking at colleges, right? You looked at these and then maybe not. Let's go look at some more and let's do that. We kind of have our primary list or secondary list. You know what? Sometimes the secondary list gets chosen, right? You ever go on Amazon and it says people who bought this also looked at this? And you go, oh, let me look at that too. Maybe I might like that. Now your list just got expanded over there. So if you picture something with me, picture a room that has every competitor in your market. Again, not the same price point, not the same quality, right? But looks on paper like what you do. So every venue, every planner, every invitation company, every officiant, just picture that everybody in your category standing in this big ballroom. And then they start disappearing like a sci-fi movie, like just picture, boom, they're disappearing. And next thing you know, you look around and it's you and like 4 other people. That's what's happening every time you get an inquiry. Just picture that, right? The hundreds came to dozens, came to 5. And it's like, right? Now, wouldn't you look at those other people and go, you're not getting this. This one's mine. Sorry. No, sorry. Sorry, wait. No, this one's mine, right? Because you can see now that you're in a small group and you can picture winning in the small group. Every time you get an inquiry, that's happening. You want to be like a really nice dog that you just gave the steak bone from last night's dinner, right? Not try to take that bone away from that really nice dog, right? Ain't happening. That's what you need to be with a lead. You need to not give up on that until that person tells you yes or no, because they started this. You didn't start this. They started this. They went to your website or your ad or your social or whatever, or your pop-up or whatever it was, and they inquired with you, which means they like what they've seen, heard, read, watched, personally experienced. They like whatever it is that they've seen to this point, from their 0 moment of truth to your ability to contact you. It also means when you get that inquiry that they are choosing the way to inquire based upon the choices that they were given. For instance, you go to my website, you can call me, click a link, you can dial. You can email me, click a link, it'll open up email. You can text me. You can use a form to text me. You can use a form to email me. You have all of those choices. You don't have WhatsApp, because I don't have a link to that, even though I do have WhatsApp on my phone and I do WhatsApp with people outside the country. I don't have that there as an option. I don't have a live chat because I travel too much. I'm not available to chat. I don't want to set the expectation that I'm going to be available and then you're disappointed because you can't chat with me. So what do I have? I have the ability to call me, email me, text me, fill out a contact form. That's the choices. If somebody texts me, they're saying, I prefer text, because they could have called. They didn't. They could have emailed. They didn't. They could have filled out the contact form. They didn't. They chose to text me. So where do I meet them? Right back where they were. So one of the biggest reasons that you're getting ghosted is because you're immediately trying to change the communication method that the customer has chosen. Now, some of you are not giving the customer the choice they want. Let's say you don't offer texting on your website. Well, if they prefer texting, they're either going to choose one that you have or they're going to leave. So you could be missing out on people who, this is my preferred way, right? And as I say this out loud, should I have WhatsApp as a choice on my website? Yeah, I could. I still don't think I need that, right? But I could easily add it. I could add a link that says WhatsApp me, and I could put a link and I could do it. And then I could see if people do or if they don't. That's what we'll see. That's what I did with texting. I've had texting for probably about 7 years or more. All right. I now use Connect, K-E-N-E-C-T. That gives me a texting widget. I get more text than I ever got now, instead of just people clicking on the word text to text me. All right, and there's other features of that. So As a matter of fact, I'm looking at my phone going, somebody just texted me. Okay, I have a text right there. So it's not coming into my text messages. It's coming into their app, coming into a web page, whatever. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I give people the option to text me. And when they do, they're saying, this is the way I want you to respond to me. Now, have I ever taken someone from text, turned it into an email? Sure. Do I do it in the first message? No. Have I taken them from text, turned it into a phone call or a Zoom call? Absolutely. Do I do it in the first message? No. Have I written business through text? Absolutely. And Facebook Messenger and email and phone and Zoom and all the other ways people can reach out to me. I've had people I've done business with because they chose to message me on Facebook. They chose to message me on Instagram or whatever. The one time I've spoken in Cartagena, Colombia, it was a Facebook message that came in Spanish. I had a whole conversation back and forth in Spanish. I got booked. I got paid. Never spoke to her on the phone. Never had a Zoom call. Nothing. Matter of fact, it was funny. I wrote back to her after I was done and booked. And I wrote back and I said, by the way, and this is all in Spanish, how many presentations would you like me to give? It was a one-day conference. Didn't matter to me. And do you want me to present in English or Spanish? And she wrote back, you can present in Spanish? I was like, we just had a whole conversation in Spanish. And I said, didn't you see me in Uruguay last year? And she said, no, I saw you in Las Vegas. I was like, oh, okay. That's why you don't think I speak Spanish, right? But I didn't know that because we never got on the phone. I just met her where she was, which was a Facebook message in Spanish. Now, I could have been using Google Translate or something like that. That's probably what she figured. But that's okay because I met her back where she was. I didn't meet her. Like if somebody messaged me now in German, I might use Google Translate. And I might also go back and say, I'm sorry, but I don't speak German. Do you speak English? And if they say, no, I don't, I'd say, that's fine. Let's keep sprechen Sie German, right? Sprechen Sie Deutsch, right? There we go. So one of the biggest reasons you're getting ghosted is that you're immediately trying to change the communication method that they reached out to one that they're not comfortable with or not comfortable with yet. We're dealing with Gen Zs. We're dealing with Gen Ys. For some reason, this device that we all call a smartphone, I don't think they know actually makes calls. I'm not sure. Maybe. But if they wanted to call you, unless your phone number is not on your website, and I have seen that, unless your phone number is not on your website, if they wanted to call you, they would have called you. But they didn't. So you immediately going for the call. Now, some of you are sitting there going, but Alan, it's so much easier if I could just get on the phone and hear their voice and they could hear my emotion and all that. And I don't doubt that. It's easier for you. Who's the customer? They're the customer. When we're the customer, we get to drive. We get to dictate that. We get to decide whether or not we want to communicate with you a certain way. And if we don't pick up the phone and call you, it doesn't mean you can't ask for a call. It means if you only ask for the call, and I have one right now, we're secret shopping this caterer right now up in New England. And we've gotten about 6 or 7 emails from them, which is good, except every one of them is like, I don't have a good phone number for you. What's a good phone number for you? What number is best for me to call you? When is good for a phone call? And they haven't gotten the message yet that never is good for a phone call. Right? But when you go back and forth and meet them where they are, you could then at some point say, wow, I have some great ideas on how to make your wedding amazing and memorable for you and your guests. I'd love to hear some of your ideas as well. Can we have a quick call now, or is later today better? Or is during the day or in the evening better for a call or a Zoom? Is it better for you to do a call or a Zoom or come in for a meeting or come in for a tour? After you've earned the right to, because you've gone back and forth and met them where they are, then you can say, hey, how about this? But you notice what I said? I have some ideas on how to make your wedding amazing and memorable for you and your guests. You think they want to hear that now? Right? As opposed to, hi, I'm a salesman and I would like you to get on the phone with me so I can sell you what we do. That's what they're hearing when you say, let's get on a call. Let's get on a call. Let's get on a call. That's what they're hearing is salesperson wants to talk to me. So slow it down, just like this was a dating site, right? If this was a dating thing, right? You walk into the bar and there's someone attractive sitting at the bar and next to them is an empty stool. And you're like, ooh, opportunity. And you walk over and say, excuse me, would you like to get married? A little bit too forward. Maybe jumped a couple of steps ahead. What do you think, Ben? Maybe a couple of steps ahead? Yeah, maybe a couple of steps ahead, right? So what you would do is say, excuse me, is this seat taken? And if they say no and smile, good sign, right? If they say waiting for my friend, oh, Have you been waiting long? Did they stand you up? Can I keep it warm for them? Right. You're right. You're going to work your way into this. I totally off my game. I'm married 41 years. I have no game, zero game. The only game I needed is the one that got me. I got the girl. That's all that matters. I got the girl, and she hasn't kicked me out yet. So that's even better. So, okay, we're getting off on a tangent. So first reason you're getting ghosted, you're getting an inquiry through email, through texting, through messaging on the Not Wedding Wire, Instagram, whatever, Facebook, and you're immediately saying, let's have a phone call. Now, here's what I want you guys to think about. If you have good statistics, great. If you don't, this is what I would want you to be tracking. I want you to look at the inquiries that came in. I want you to look at the first conversation that you had with them, not the message they sent you, but you responded. How many people never, ever respond from the initial inquiry? You never hear from them. That's your biggest opportunity because they are not resonating with what you're sending them. That's what they're telling you. The fact that they keep ghosting you, the fact that they went to your website, filled out your contact form, and they're not responding to you means I don't like your subject line, maybe if it's an email. I don't like your message. This company that I was doing training with on Monday, the first response we got when we secret shopped them was 4 screens long on a smartphone. I don't think there's anybody listening here. I saw Heidi's face. I don't think there's anybody listening here that wants to read a message that's more than 1 screen long. Maybe 1.5, I'll give you a break, right? But 4? Oh, and that's not the longest one. We're also shopping. There's a entertainment company down in the Southeast that is having us secret shop their competitors right now. And we got a 6-screen response. Yeah, Jamel, imagine that. 6 screens? Like, no, like 1. Yeah. One in a little bit. All right, I'll give you a little scroll there, maybe a little scroll there. 6, and no, you're done. And they're thinking they're being helpful. They're thinking I'm giving them all the information they need. What they're doing is chasing them away or giving them so much information they don't feel like they need to respond to you, and now they're shopping you against somebody else. Imagine if the phone rang right now. I know, if only, right, Sandra? If only they would call you, right? If the phone would ring. What would you do? Would you say, give me your email address so I can send you attachments and photos and links? No, you would just have a call. You would just have a conversation. You would say, thanks so much for calling. We'd love to help you have a beautiful wedding. Let's talk about you. That's what you would do. But that's not what I see when we do our secret shopping. What I see is huge shovels dumping information on people, not having a conversation, not even asking a question, or the question is only about the call or the meeting. So big reasons why you're getting ghosted is you're trying to change the communication method too soon. You're giving them information that they think they need, which is why they don't need to get back to you, right? So everybody here remember the movie, the Men in Black movies? What are we up to? 17 of those yet? What is it? There's a few of those, right? Okay, everybody look at the light. There it is. Look at the light. All right, Scott, I just broke your attachment button. That's it. Imagine if you couldn't attach anything and couldn't add a single link. What would you do? You would just talk. That's all you would do, is you would just talk to people. That's all you need to do. So don't feel the need to put attachments. Let me just talk about attachments for a second. I'm going to get on my soapbox here, right? Your attachments are almost never, I'm going to say almost never because I've only seen this once. It was a company in Australia. I've never seen, except for that one, an attachment that was formatted for a phone screen. They're all 8.5 by 11. If you're international, they're A4, right? Or they're double A4 or 11 by 17 tabloid size. Now imagine that on your phone screen. And why do I say imagine that? Because you probably have never looked at your own attachment on your phone screen. So for the next week, I want you to BCC yourself on every message you send to a customer. BCC yourself. Now, my preference is for the sake of your inbox, BCC to a different address, not your own inbox, right? You don't want to send your messages back to your inbox and dump your inbox. Get another one. If you don't have a Gmail or something, go get one. Just make it. We do it all the time. That we are with our secret shopping. We have all these other addresses. Get one so you can dump it in, and then open it on your phone. And like we do, so I have the Gmail app, I have the Apple Mail app, I have the Outlook app, right? Look at it in different apps. Look at it on different screens. If you have friends, send it over to them and see it. Then open those attachments. What does it look like? Open the links to those videos. How small are those videos now? Can I even see what's going on? Look at those photos, right? Is the couple like so small now you can't even make them out in the picture? You need to use images and text for the format that they're going to read it. So if you designed this 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 or A4 or double A4 a PDF, and they're opening it on their phone and have to pinch, how much do you like to pinch, right? You go to a restaurant these days, they make you scan a QR code to get the menu, and all they did is put the PDF of their menu, which is 11 by 17. And what are you doing? Pinch, scroll left and right, scroll up and down. It's like, oh, look, shrimp. Okay, pinch back out again. Oh, look, it's not a good user experience. That's friction. Friction makes people go away and go to somebody else. So what you need to be doing is you need to be understanding how your customers are interacting with you and using things for that right format. So I said, you've given them what they think they need. They come to you and say, hi, I'd like to get your pricing. Hi, I'd like to get your package information. Hi, could you send me a brochure? That's what they think they need. That's not what they need. What they need is to know more than they know now about how you're going to give them a result that they can't get anyplace else and that they need you to do it. That's what they need. Now, they're not going to articulate that to you. Nobody's going to say that to you, but they've already seen pictures or they wouldn't have reached out. We're humans. We don't go with just the text. They've already read your reviews. We know that over 90% are reading reviews. So we know that they already know you do a great job. We already know what people have written about you. And by the way, if you are on the Knot or Wedding Wire or both, look above your reviews. If you haven't done this lately, there's an AI summary of your reviews. So just imagine, Scott, I don't know how many reviews you have on the Knot or Wedding Wire, but imagine you have hundreds of reviews and people aren't going to read more than 5 to 7, 7 to 9 for venues and photographers, right? They've taken your hundreds of reviews and AI has summarized them. And it's really, it's kind of cool and creepy. No, it's really cool. It's really cool because it's taken all of this and it's summarized it and saying, this is what these hundreds of people say about you. And if you really want to know what's different about you from a competitor, just go read that for you and read it for a competitor. And you're going to see competitors that do a really good job, their summary looks different because their reviews are different. Your brand is what people say about you. Branding, that's different. Branding, if you're looking at the video, there's my logo over my shoulder there. That's branding. My 10 books over my shoulder here, that's branding. This is a real background. This is not one of those fake ones, right? This is branding so that you'll see that. That's not my brand. My brand is why many of you came on today. Like Ernest, I mean, how many years have you been listening to me, right? You could have been like, I heard him. Yeah. No, but you didn't. You said, I'm coming here today, right? Butch, same thing, right? You're here because you have heard me and you say, I want to come and hear what he says, as opposed to, it's going to be the same. And we know those speakers that we've all seen that every time you see him, it's the same, right? If you thought it was going to be the same, you wouldn't be here. But that's because of my brand, not my branding. You didn't do that because of my logo, right? I mean, I can't see it, but my logo's on my shirt too. There you go. There's my logo. Thought it would be in the picture. Okay, there it is. So you want to have a conversation that they have started. Think about that. They filling out your contact form, sending you a text, sending you an email, messaging you. They started the conversation, right? I don't know if anybody here does cold calling. Has anybody here done cold calling? Raise your hand if you've done cold calling. Okay, raise your hand if you love cold calling. Okay, no hands now. There you go. But the reason, right, Molly, the reason that you don't love cold calling is because you don't know if there's a need. Now, you can be smarter about who you call and target the right people and stuff like that, but they're not waiting for your call. They're not expecting a reply from you, right? Because you're starting this. When someone fills out your contact form, emails you, calls you, texts you, WhatsApps you, whatever, they are raising their hand and saying, I have eliminated 98% of all the possibilities, and you made the cut. And now you need to sound personal. You need to sound like you care about giving them better results. Results, folks. Don't sell your products and services. Somebody sells them cheaper. Everything you sell, somebody sells something that looks like it cheaper. Every one of us, including me. There's somebody that does it. It's why I did a podcast. I think it's in one of my books too. Actually, it'll also be in my next book. I'm doing a website book with Brian Lawrence. I don't care about SEO, search engine optimization. I personally, yes, it was done to my site. I don't care about it. Why? Because that would be someone looking for someone that looks something like what I do. They're looking for someone who does something that looks like what I do. I don't want that. I want them looking for me. I want them saying, I need Alan, not I need someone. If someone is looking for you, even if they're looking at some other people, right? I have a much better shot of closing that sale because they want my results, not results. That's why you need to be selling your results. Because if you're selling your products and services, there's always somebody who sells it cheaper. As a matter of fact, when you were first in business, it was probably you selling it cheaper. That was your unique selling proposition, is I'm selling it cheaper than everybody else, right? Everybody feeling that? I get it, right? My prices are, what is it? I left a knot in 2011. So 5 times what they were in 2011, right? 5 times in, what is that? 13 years, my price, I'm getting 5 times what I was back then. I was cheaper. Now I'm not. There's people more expensive than me. There's a lot of people less than me. The people that choose me is because they want my results. The people that choose you, Mitch, is because they want your results. Sell your results. Don't sell your products and services. You sell your products and services, you're just going to, let me put it this way. If I could take your emails, take your website, and take your logo off and put somebody else's logo on it, and they can fulfill everything that's there, you didn't sell anything unique. Because on paper, every DJ looks like they do the same thing. Every videographer looks like they do the same thing. Every speaker looks like they do the same thing, but they don't, right? They go through the motions similarly, but the results are different. That's why I did a podcast. Are your results really better, or are they just different? And we'll never know if they're better, because that event will never happen again. A company might have another holiday party, but it's not this one, right? They're not, hopefully, knock wood for them, they're not going to have another wedding, right? That quinceañera, she's only turned 15 once. That bat mitzvah, she's only turned 13 once. That's never going to happen again. What it is their perception that your results are the ones that will be better, and that's why I chose you. But the truth is, we'll never know, right? Wade, we'll never know if somebody could do better, because nobody's going to get that chance. They wanted your results, and that's why they chose you, because they said, I believe I will get the best results with you. But the truth is, we'll never actually know. So sell results, don't sell stuff. Okay. Getting ghosted. The fact that they're not responding could be that they're not resonating with your particular messaging. Subject lines. If you're sending emails, subject lines are hugely important. Here's what you're going to find out when you start BCCing yourself. Is that lovely subject line that you wrote getting cut off? Right? Remember, there's a preview before they open the message and see the whole thing. Well, I just actually had this happen yesterday with one of my clients. I said, sounds like that's a little long. And sure enough, in the middle of her company name, just got cut until you open the message. So she thought, oh, this is great. Oh, wait a minute. They don't really know who I'm sending this, right? So you're going to see that. You're also going to see how long it is. I had this happen with this other company, a company in Pennsylvania. I'm going to be doing a consult next month. The font is really tiny because their graphic is so big. In order for the graphic to fit, it's shrinking everything. They had no idea. They had no idea. I'm looking at, to me, what looks like 4.5 point font. Like, no, I mean, I don't care how old you are, right? Right. Jamel, you're a lot younger than me and you're wearing glasses, right? So your eyes may not be great just because your eyes are younger, right? So they didn't know because they've never seen it on the receiving end. So maybe somebody's looking going, I just can't read this. Okay. My client that had 4 pages long worth of message. Well, there were 2 videos on Vimeo, and now you get to Vimeo, it was a dead end. There were links to social and other things. There was a link to a PDF that was so tiny, I couldn't even pinch enough to read it, right? Bad user experience. Here they are thinking we're being helpful, right? Also because they probably wrote that on their desktop monitor and it looked fine to them, right? I'm looking at a 27-inch widescreen monitor here. Now my website, 3/4 of my traffic comes in on desktop. Only a quarter, never more than 30% comes in on mobile. Yours is probably flipped the other way, 50, 60% mobile, maybe even more. Well, if you don't have Google Analytics, get your Google Analytics, because it's free and it'll show you that really the only things I really care about, the most about, I should say, in Google Analytics. How much of your traffic is mobile? Don't guess. No, and don't do it this week. Do it over 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and see what the trend is. What's the pattern there? Okay. Next thing, which pages are they looking at? You have a website and you know what's there, but what if you have some really great information and find out nobody's ever looking at the page, such as If you have a testimonials page, nobody's looking at it. It is your love fest, and they know that. It's your website. You put everything there. What are the odds, Patricio? What are the odds you put anything bad there? 0 and none, right? Why would you put anything bad on your own testimonials page? So they know that, so they don't go there. It's one of the least viewed pages. And you're thinking, I have all these testimonials on my site and nobody's seeing it, right? So how much of your traffic is mobile? Which pages are they looking at it? And where is your traffic actually coming from? Right? Don't guess. Look, is it coming from social? I had traffic coming from social, but it wasn't good traffic. There's something called the bounce rate. Bounce is when, and we've all done this, you go to a website and then you leave. You don't look at any other page, you leave. You bounced. That's it. No more technical than that. We've all done it. We all do it every day. Now, a bounce isn't necessarily bad. If you go to this page and you find what you want, it wasn't a bad bounce. It wasn't a bad bounce. It was just a bounce. Average bounce rate for all websites in the world, I've heard, is around 40%. They run from 30 something to 70 something, but around 40%. Mine is consistently over 80%. And do you think I care? I don't look at that to judge the success of my business. I look at my calendar and my profit and loss statement. That's how I judge the success of my business. If my bounce rate is 90%, but my P&L looks great and my calendar looks the way I want it to look, I could care less how many people are bouncing. But I've also created a high bounce because I have one page for sales training, one page for mastermind, one page for consulting. So if you Google Alan Berg website review and it lands you on the website review page, you find what you want, you contact me and you leave, you've technically bounced, but you found what you wanted and you contacted me. So that's actually a good thing. That's why I don't judge by bouncing. If you make people click from page to page to page to get the information they want, you'll have a lower bounce rate, but you also might not have as good of a conversion because you made them click and click and click and click. Right. So there's the two sides of that. Don't judge it by your bounce rate. Do I want to know it? Yeah. Do I care? No, not if the P&L and the calendar look great. Now, if they don't look great, I'm going to start looking for other sources and other things that could be a problem. All right. So let me tell you about our secret shopping. Between last year and this year to date, we have secret shopped about 450 companies. Now, here's what we track. This is the column I didn't have originally when we started shopping. The first column is, did they reply? Now, Heidi, imagine that I actually have to ask, did somebody reply when we go to their website and fill out their contact form? But that's the first column because 18% of the companies we have shopped have never, ever responded to us. Just chew on that for a second. 18% of the companies, we went to their website, filled out their contact form, and got nothing. Now, let's allow a few of them to technical issues. You know, there's something happened and the gremlins got it and they never got the lead. That's not 18%. That's going to be a small number there. All right. We do track if there was an auto reply, but we don't count it as a reply because all it is a confirmation that the message was received. It's not giving them the information that they want. Okay. How long did it take for them to reply? Right? Was it minutes? Was it hours? Was it days? Was it weeks? Did their message fit on one screen of a phone? Right? We're looking at that. Did they end with a question? And I said two things there, end and a question. One question. Did they end with a question? Actually, we're just tracking if they ended with a question at all, not how many questions they had. But you should only have one question because this is a conversation, not an interrogation. And it should be at the end. Because if I ask a question and I keep talking, just imagine I did that in person, right? We're having a conversation. Just imagine, right, Ben, imagine we're having a conversation. I ask you a question and then I keep talking and you're thinking, are you going to give me a chance to answer? Like you asked me a question, Alan, right? Well, think about it. You're writing to them and you write a question and then you keep writing. You just buried your own question. Well, when you bury the question, they don't see it. If they don't see it, they're not going to answer it. I see it all the time. People, first paragraph has a question and then there's 4 more paragraphs and they wonder why aren't people responding? I was working with a client yesterday and we're looking at the message and there were 4 questions. There was 1 in the first paragraph, 2 in the second paragraph, 1 in the third paragraph. And then after that, they wrote, I look forward to hearing back from you. So they buried their own questions multiple times. So did they end with one question? Did they have any attachments? Did they have any links and how many? right? These are the things that we're tracking. And then we wait. Why do we wait? Because we want to see if they're going to try again. Because as I said at the beginning, if some of you weren't on at the beginning, every one of us right now is ghosting someone. So the fact that you're getting ghosted doesn't mean that they're not interested. It just means that they did not make a priority of responding to your message when they saw it, just like we've all done. Just like right this moment when we're all on this call, we're ghosting somebody because we're not responding to the message. Doesn't mean we're not interested. Maybe you got a message right before you got on here and you're like, okay, I'll respond to that afterwards. Are you ghosting them? Technically, yeah, but you're not. You'll get to it. Hopefully at some point you'll get to it. So the idea is we don't respond because we want to see if you're going to try again. So let me give you some stats here. 18% of the companies that we've shopped have never responded at all. Of the ones that do, so of the 82%, only 45% try a second time. So you want to know how low the bar is set here? 55% of the 82% that actually responded did not try a second time, gave up after one time. Said, here it is. I sent my reply. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. Go to 3 times. Only 30% of the companies are trying 3 times. This is how low the bar is. I'm not asking you to respond 10 times. I would like you to, but I'm not asking you to respond 10 times to do it better than almost everybody that you're competing against. It goes down to about 20% when we get to 4 times. It goes to 15% or less when we get to 5 times, and it starts to flatline, but it does not flatline because I have companies that will do, we stopped counting at 10, right? I stopped counting at 10. Heidi, we could go further, but I stopped counting at 10 because I think at 10, I got an idea who you are now. Okay, you're doing a good job here. The most I've ever seen so far is an entertainment company that between September of last year and February of this year, we got 32 messages. Now, we don't give a phone number, so we could be getting text messages from people on top of it, but we don't give a phone number, and we're not getting calls. So let me give you another thing here. If the phone number is a required field on your contact form, you are missing out on inquiries because there are people that do not want you to call them. So since this is under the I Do Society, Mark taught me something, which is, we talked about it on my podcast, and I don't remember if it's the one that came out this past Monday or if it's coming out in the future. But if it's the future, you get a sneak peek. If not, go listen to the one from Monday. But this is what we talked about. Oh, it actually was this one from Monday. When you get to the phone number field, this is what he suggested writing. Put your phone number if you prefer texting. And he said it increased, and Mark could correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe he said it increased by 40% the number of people that were then filling the form out, right? Now, if you make the phone number a required field, there are people that are like, no, you're going to call me and I don't want to talk to you on the phone. So I'm just going to bypass you. Or you're going to get people do like we do, and we put all 0s or all 9s or something like that. And, then I have this caterer we're secret shopping now, who 7 messages and all he's asking for is our phone number because the phone number wasn't there, or the one we put down wasn't a real number or something like that. So you think about it. There are times when you want to talk on the phone. There are times you don't. I remember I was looking for an insurance quote one time, and I'm looking and the phone number is required. I was like, they're going to call me. Oh yeah, they called. It was less than a minute after I hit submit that the phone rang. I'm like, there it is. That's it, right? I get it. I did not want to give him a phone number because I can have a conversation with you via email. I can have a conversation via text. I am perfectly comfortable, and I am a digital immigrant, but yet I am perfectly comfortable having a conversation digitally, because a digital immigrant doesn't mean I don't like technology. It just means it wasn't here. Like when I started selling wedding advertising, I did not have an Apple Watch, right? I had a phone. It was in my car. It didn't come out. It was in my car, right? So I've come along with technology. I love technology. A digital immigrant just means it wasn't there when I started, right? We're dealing with digital natives who have grown up having conversations through their fingertips. So if they don't want to give you the phone number because they don't want you to call them, you have people that will not fill out your form at all. Statistically, every field you take off the form completely off, whether it's required or not, will increase the number of people filling it out. Every field you add, less people will fill it out just by it being there, whether it's required or not. So let's talk about what you actually need. And again, you could listen to this webinar this podcast that Mark and I did on my podcast this past Monday. You need their name. You need their email because they're filling out a form on your website or on your social or whatever, right? That's really all you need. I mean, let's just realistically, that's all you need. Now, what can you ask without scaring them off or having too many fields there? You could certainly ask for phone number not required, right? If you said phone number, put your phone number. That's what it says on my website now. Put your phone number if you prefer texting. That's what it says there. Okay. If you're not the venue, I've said this to Sandra before, you can ask the wedding date. But if you do, you want them to tell you, if you're the venue, that they're flexible. Because we know that if you're not the venue, the date is already booked, and there's no flexibility now, right? They're not going to change their venue date because their florist isn't available, right? If they will, more power to you, right? But realistically, that's not what they're going to do. So if you ask the date, if it's Sandra, you say, put a check mark that says date is flexible, or first choice of date, second choice. Or I said this one venue that said, what season are you looking for? It's like, ooh, okay. That's leaving it more wide open there. But for the rest of you, you could ask the date because availability, you're available or you're not, and that's it. You're down, further down the food chain. So that would make sense to ask that. What type of event? If you do more than just one type of event, you can certainly ask that. But try to do some of these either in a drop down or in check boxes, as opposed to big stack long things, if you can help it. Sometimes you can't. I have a form where people sign up for my mailing list, and it has every category. Because I want you to be able to choose more than one, I had to put the big list there. Otherwise, it would have been a drop down one single thing. Just look how long that form is on your phone. That's the other thing I want you to look at there. So you need their name, you need their email, phone being optional. And again, if they give it to you, they're giving you permission. You could also have a box that says okay to text. That's another way to do it. Wedding date or event date, right? The type of event if you do more than one. And then a box that says, tell us more about your event, or what would you like to share about your wedding, or something like that. Not just comments or questions, because they may not say anything. Put something more to encourage them to actually give you more. Now, what don't you need today? I said today, not ever. You don't need the guest count today. You don't need to know if they're having their ceremony and reception at the same location today. Why? Because you want to leave yourself some things to ask them that they'll answer very quickly, what I call low commitment questions or confirmation questions. So if somebody is on the knot and they've told you ceremony and reception both happening at the same location, a confirmation question would be, are you still planning on having both your ceremony and reception at the same place? That's a confirmation question. If you don't know, you could say, are you planning on having your ceremony and reception at the same location? Or if you know the name of the venue, to say it there. I would not ask that on the contact form, even though it technically gives you a little more work, because it's such an easy question for them to answer. They don't have to talk to their partner. They don't have to discuss it with anybody. They don't think you're prying. They understand you need to know the information, and they'll give you that answer much quicker than if you ask what their vision is for the event, because some people are ill-equipped to answer that. I have a son who's engaged right now. He's a financial analyst, CFO of a company that powers the back end of crypto. Can you see left brain? Like, I don't know how far left that brain is. It's just, right? He doesn't think that way. What's your vision is not the way he thinks. Now, his brother is a graphic designer and artist. His brother's brain works that way. His doesn't. So don't ask a question that you don't know if somebody can answer, because you might be right brain creative. As a matter of fact, if you're in this industry, you probably are right brain creative. Your brain thinks vision. Oh, great. All this. Not everybody thinks that way. So not a good question to ask them. Right? You want to leave yourself easy, low commitment questions to ask so that they can answer them quickly without having to talk to anybody, think about it, refer to anybody, ask for any advice. They can just give you the answer right away. So shorten the form to only what you need to know today to continue the conversation they've started. That's another reason that you're not even getting inquiries. Forget about getting ghosted. That's getting you fewer inquiries than you can get if you shorten that form. I remember one time, Sonny, one of the founders of Wedding Wire, they were talking about when they asked couples to sign up for Wedding Wire back then. they shortened the form from, it was either from 5 things to 4 things or 4 things to 3. And they saw this jump of almost 50%. It was like 40, 50% more just by shortening the form that much. By taking one field off, they saw more. But I'm telling you, if the phone number is a required field, some people are passing you by right now and you don't know it because you can't see it, right? That's the problem, is you can't see it. Friend of mine, David Avrin, who's a speaker. Matter of fact, I just got his new book. Here's his new book here. Ridiculously easy to do business with. He's got another book, Why Customers Leave and How to Win Them Back. And he talks about how you don't see the people that come to your website and leave without contacting you. You can't see it. It's not like a retail store where somebody walks in and then walks out. You can't see it. If you could see it, you do something about it. Well, this is giving you some visibility on some of those things. So you get an inquiry, you respond right away. Use the method that they reached out to you. You'll get ghosted less. Why? Because trying to change that method is getting some people to say, no, I don't want to do that. That's friction. Another great book, The Convenience Revolution by Shep Hyken. Get one. There it is. Convenience Revolution. There's a signed copy. There we go. Okay. Convenience Revolution by Shep Hyken talks about friction. Why do we choose not to do business with companies? Very often it's because they've added friction to the process. One way of friction is immediately trying to change that method. Like when that insurance company, I fill out their form, I want them to email me, they call me. That was friction right away. Okay. So we need to respond again, and we need to respond again the next day. Yes, he said the next day. Why did he say the next day? Why am I talking to the third party? I said the next day because you want to put yourself at the top of their inbox. That every time you respond to someone on Messenger, on Facebook, on Instagram, on the Knot, on Wedding Wire, on any type of messaging or emailing, texting, your message goes to the top of the inbox. So every time you respond, you're popping yourself back up to the top. So your message, which is now 72 messages down, now your new one goes up to the top. And all you do is the next day, send them the same message you did the first day and just say, just making sure, hey, Molly, just making sure this made it through to you. Right? So let's talk about your message. Let's talk about your very first message. Somebody reaches out to you and says, I want to get pricing information. Right? And after you go, that's all they ever asked me. I want you to think about this. That's all they know to ask. If they had a better question, they would have asked it. Think about when you're buying something you've never bought before. You don't know what to ask. Now think about when you're buying something you have bought before. You know what to ask. So if Patricia wants a new trumpet, right? You're going to say, okay, I need a B-flat trumpet, right? You know, B-flat trumpet. Maybe I want it to be silver plated this time, so it's a little bit different than the brass one over here, right? I know what kind of mouthpiece I need over here because this is the one that's going to give me the better for my embouchure and stuff, right? You feeling me here, Patricia? Yeah, I'm doing good there, right? Okay. Not bad for a keyboard player. Okay. Anyway, but if he's doing that, he knows what to ask. And he's going to say, okay, tell me about this. Tell me about the valves. Tell me about this. Does it have the adjustment? Does it need a fourth valve on here to get the perfect tone and stuff? Right. He's going to ask the good questions. Like a photographer is going to ask about the lens and, you know, what is the, what's the aperture on the lens? Is it an f2, an f1.8? What is it? They're going to ask good questions. Now think about the last time you bought something you didn't know anything about. What did you do? How much is it? Isn't that what we all do? How much is it? Now, we'll find out later that that's not the most important question. The most important question, hey, Rod McMahon in Canada there, that the most important question is not that, but they don't know what to ask. So they ask you what they know. So there's 4 ways to talk about price. If you've never heard me talk about this, there's 4 ways to talk about price. It is in, what is it? It's in Shut Up and Sell More. It's in Why Are They Ghosting Me? It's in a few of the books. And by the way, I'm going to put some links into the chat here. Let me see if it'll paste that.
Yeah, and I will add those as well. And as we wrap, I do have a few questions that were submitted for you that I want to make sure we get to.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Let me just get back over here for a second. And I'm going to send this to everyone. There we go. I put some links in there, including you can get free shipping on any of my books if you go to my website there. It's got, Wedding MBA. If you haven't signed up for Wedding MBA yet, use my name, Alan, and you'll save $20 off your ticket. I am doing a workshop before Wedding MBA starts, Monday afternoon. or Tuesday morning, same workshop, but 2 different options for it. Only 25 seats, and you'll get $25 off your ticket because you were here today or you're listening to the recording of this. There's a link in the chat over there. And if you're listening to a recording and you don't see the chat, I don't know if you see the chat.
We'll have them below.
Okay, you put it below there. There you go. So I'll put that over there. Okay, so you want to have one of 4 ways to talk about price. Anytime somebody asks you, somebody taps you on the shoulder at the grocery store, Rod, and says, hey, you're that DJ company. How much is a wedding? Right? They don't know you can't answer that. Like there's not one answer to that. So if there is one answer, tell them how much it is and then ask for the sale. Right? Now that could be, okay, Rod, somebody comes back to you and says, oh, you know what? We're rethinking about that, about the photo booth, the one you told us. How much was that again? And you say, oh, that's this much. Should we do that for your wedding? Should we add that to the order? Right? If you're looking at video, the little card I'm holding up says, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Okay. So if you can tell them how much, ask for the sale. Second way to talk about price is not to tell them yet, but you don't want to antagonize them. Excuse me. So you would say, Rod, I'd be happy to give you pricing information. Before I do, I want to make sure I don't leave out anything that's important to you. I certainly don't want you to pay for anything you don't need. So let me get a few details, be happy to give you a price. And then you ask the first question. Third way to talk about price is the starting price. Now, I want you guys to listen to this very carefully. Don't use that. Starting prices are the cheapest thing you have. It's the thing you don't want to sell. And if the only number they see is that number, that's how much they think they're going to pay. And then you're going to try to sell them up from the bottom to what most people actually pay. And that's a lot harder. So the only time to use a starting price is when there isn't a big variation. So if you have some service or something you offer and there isn't a big variation of price, 10%, 20%, you can say starts at. But if there is a big variation on price, 50%, 100%, 200, 300% difference from bottom to top, do not use a starting price. You're making your job harder. You're attracting the wrong customers because it's the only number they saw. You could actually lose a customer who is willing to spend a lot more because they don't think you do that kind of work because they only see the cheaper number. Okay. So let's say, Jamel, let's say you do cold sparks. I'm just pick a number, or you do projection mapping. I'm looking at the picture behind you. You do projection mapping. And let's say you charge a price for projection mapping, but sometimes it's a much bigger space, so you charge a little more. I know this is not a good example, but let's say that's it. You can say, you know what, it starts at this. Okay, that's okay. But if there is a big variation, the fourth way to talk about price is a price range. You can say, well, you know, I need to know a little bit more about you and your space and your venue. But I can tell you that from the customers that we worked with, it typically ranges from here to here. Most people end up around here. Once I get the details for you, I'll be able to give you a better idea. So that's the way you would do it. So you could say it goes from $3,000 to $20,000. Most of the rooms end up around 7. Again, I'm making up numbers here, right? But let's find out more about yours, and I can narrow that down. So that's the way you would do price range. So your first response to people is going to be either, I'm not going to tell you yet, and here's why, right? I don't want to leave out anything that's important to you or charge you for anything you don't need, or it ranges from here to here. Most people end up around here. Let's find out a little bit more about you so I can narrow that down. So you're giving them what they think they need, which is, I'm going to tell you about price, but I can't give you your price yet until I have these details. But you're not saying it that way because that can be antagonistic. This is, you don't want it to be transactional. It is a transaction, but you don't want it to be transactional, right? I tell people, I was on a podcast. They said, why do you do what you do? I said, 2 reasons. It has to bring me joy. It has to bring you value. If it brings me joy and brings you value, I will cash the check. If it doesn't bring me joy and bring you value, I don't want the check because it has to do both of those things. So, okay. Heidi, you said we had some questions. I guess we're running short on time now.
Yes. We're a little bit over right now. So I want to make sure we get to questions.
Shocking when you have a professional speaker talking and you just let me go. Shocking. Yes.
So
okay.
Brent asked, currently we get leads from our website after people start the booking process, but they don't complete the booking. So it's kind of like they're getting the information as part of one of those two-step forms.
Okay.
So our system forwards their contact information without them clicking submit. Is this considered a lead since they don't know they were giving us their details? How do you categorize that?
Well, it's smart and creepy at the same time, but I like that they have the ability to see who bailed. But I think what's happening is their customers are telling them that they don't like the process. The customers are telling them that I didn't think I was going this far. This is a problem that I see. I actually just recorded a podcast about this, and it's going to be in my new book. Um, if you have buttons that say things like "book us now," right, and they're not ready to book you, they won't click the button.
Good
Right.
point.
So if somebody goes in and now you start asking more and more and more, so the two steps there. So they do the first one. Oh, good. I gave them my name and my email. Cool. Boom. Then it takes you to another page where now all this other required information. People are bailing. They're telling you they don't like the process. I would change the process. The problem is not the customers. The problem is the process. And it's too intrusive too soon. Or you could have two paths. One is the booking path and one is the contact you path.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you could kind of treat it as like an abandoned cart. Like if you
That's what it
wanted, say
is.
like, hey, we noticed you started filling this out, but you didn't complete it. Did you want to complete it?
Right. Or blame the technology and saying, oh, hey, it looks like you started to contact us, but did our technology fail on you? And would you still like to find out more about how we can help you?
Yeah,
Just be,
I like
you know,
that. Patricio asked, how do you feel about auto replies? My CRM gives out 10 emails within 2 weeks to a lead. Curious on your thoughts.
okay, auto reply is a confirmation that the lead was received by you. It's not giving them information. So how do I feel about it? I personally only use auto replies when I'm out of the office. So I program, like right now, I'm going away next Monday. Tomorrow, Friday at 5 o'clock, it's turning itself on and it'll turn itself off when I come back. And it says, I'm away. I'm in San Antonio for ILEA. I'm in Oahu for the Oahu Wedding Association. It'll be, my response time will be delayed because of that. By the way, even though it says that, I'm going to get back to everybody who inquires anyway. But auto reply is just a confirmation. It's not a conversation. It's just a confirmation. So you still need to reply. Now, the idea of 10 responses in 2 weeks, that's more than I even recommend people do. But is that 10 emails or is it a combination of email, text, and phone call that's 10? I'd feel better if it was a combination than if it's just 10 emails in 14 days. That's even a little aggressive for me. And I live in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about how the mix definitely makes it feel less aggressive. So definitely something to think about
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Apps. Del Kitchen asked, is there a texting app that allows me to respond from my keyboard? I can type way faster that way. And I think many of us are in
Yes.
that boat.
Yeah. Well, so the first thing is if I'm on a Mac and I can respond to my text messages to my cell phone, I can respond to them on my Mac using iMessage. So I don't know the PC equivalent of that because I bit the apple a long time ago. So I forget what PC things are, but I can respond. So that's the first thing is without any special technology, if you are Apple and Apple, you can respond from your laptop, your desktop, possibly even an iPad, right from your desktop using iMessage. So that's the easiest way. The other way is the one that I use, Connect, Kenect. I can that's a more of a system. I've actually made my landline. I still have a landline. Those of you who don't know what that is, that means the cord is not charging it, right? That's what a landline is. So my landline is actually textable. So you're texting a landline, but I'm able to respond to it on my phone, on my iPad, on my laptop, on my desktop, in a web page or in an app that's on my devices.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
right. And another one would be Cloudly, Cloudli. That was another one I used to use. I like the Connect app. I like the widget. I've gotten more text that way. It is more expensive, but expensive is just, it's a value judgment. It's
Yeah.
expensive, but not expensive to me because I'm getting the value. I'm getting way more texts, therefore it's not expensive. One of
Yeah.
those, just one of those for the year, one text that I wouldn't have gotten pays for itself there. So yeah, so that you can do that, but you could also possibly do that with Google Voice. I
That's
don't
what I
use
was
it,
thinking. But if you
but
want more of like a CRM kind of situation, It sounds
Some of
like
the
connect.
CRMs, well, some of them CRMs actually will interface with some texting platforms. So if you're using a CRM, you can certainly check with them. But there's definitely some there. And if you look in the chat, it looks like Ari Reynolds put one in here, best marketing company or something like that. So there's other ones. Google Voice will block you. Nancy's saying Google Voice will block you.
Interesting.
If
Someone
it
said
feels like
text
you're selling.
request too is
Yeah.
another one. So it
Yeah.
sounds like there's quite a few solutions out there for
Yeah.
this sort of thing.
Yeah, Carl up in North Dakota, we're swapping our physical landline to an app-based system so we can put the text this number on our site. After Alan beating it into my head for what feels like a decade. Okay, thanks, Carl.
All right. Amelia asked, nailing down exactly what is in the first email that is turning couples off is hard to determine. So we're talking about like testing methodology here. Do you
Yeah.
change one thing and then wait and test and then repeat the process again and again until you get it right? Or are you changing multiple things?
Well, you'd have to give it some time, and because you can't say that because this person didn't respond, this is the wrong messaging, right?
Right.
But you also, it's the other side of it. Just because somebody did respond to it doesn't mean it's the right messaging for the next one. So the first thing really is, without seeing what you have, I can't tell you if you should just be blowing it up altogether and starting over or tweaking.
Yeah.
I do, again, I put it in the chat there, but my why are they ghosting me kind of gives you a little guideline for that. Um, First thing, BCC yourself or just send yourself the message and see, does it fit on one screen? Is it friendly to read? Does it look inviting, or does it look like so much information? I don't want to read it. No links, no attachments. Does it feel conversational? Read it out loud. Does it sound like you speaking? Or does it sound like your ninth grade grammar teacher's looking over your shoulder and going, oh, that's not what the way we write over here. You don't, it shouldn't be like that. It should just be you. Just like when I write my books, I write them like I'm speaking to someone. And when I do my podcast, I turn on the camera just like this. And I just imagine I'm speaking to one person, because I am every time. Right now, I'm speaking to one of you, but I want you to all feel like I'm speaking to just you. That's the whole, kind of trick of doing this well. And I've done webinars since 2007. It's just learning to speak to the camera, because every person, that's you. So does your email sound like you're talking to someone? And does it feel like it's to them, or are you talking about them, the masses? It shouldn't feel like
Right.
that.
Yeah. And I think I would gauge what is your natural inclination here, because I know I'm the kind of person that I'm impatient and I want to change everything and then test it. But I think it's really helpful to change one thing and wait, especially if you can give it a somewhat statistically significant amount of time. Like, you don't want it to just be one or two people that get this message. You want to review, like, okay, let this message run for all of September, and then maybe look at last September, and can you see differences in the way people are responding? Maybe they're bringing up something
Yeah. Well,
from
actually,
the
that brings
copy
up a
too.
good point. I would only change that comparing to last September may not be good right now, because it wasn't a
Good
normal
point.
year.
Good point.
The one of the issues we're having now, again, another podcast I did, I called it the trifecta perfect storm. We have the COVID hangover, which I should trademark. We have the wedding gap, and we have a presidential election year. And if you think about those three things, we have the COVID hangover, which is we have 4 years that were not normal, right? We cannot compare to 4 not normal years. We have the wedding gap, which is people that never got a chance to meet in 2020 and 2021 because of COVID. Therefore, they're not engaged now because they never met. So could be, we don't know how significant, but somewhat of a dip of less people engaged just because they didn't get a chance to meet. And then if you've been in the business long enough, every 4 years, there's a presidential election year in this country, and every 4 years, things get wonky. And the wonky that they get is just what's happening now. They're more tentative to book, waiting longer to book. But I started thinking about this. The year after every presidential election year was a normal year, which means that people booked. They just booked funny. They just booked weird. But I started thinking, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, things get wonky, but nobody was complaining that 2013 was a bad year. or 2017 was a bad year. Again, we can't go to 21, but 2009, 2005, right? I was in the industry then. I've been in the industry since 1990. The year after the presidential election, it was a normal wedding year.
Yeah.
Which means people are going to book. But you know what it also means? You have to do better. You
Yeah.
have to
Better
follow up
follow
more.
up.
Right. That's what it is. That's what it means is you have the opportunity to do that. There's less inquiries now versus last year because last year was not a normal year. You can't compare. You have to go back to 2018 to feel like what a normal year was. And how many of you were not in your seat in 2018?
Yeah.
Right. That's 6 years ago. So that's the challenge we're having right now is don't compare to last year, the year before, the year before, the year before that, and maybe not even the year before that, because 2019 was a pretty good year for a lot of people. So you really got to go back to about 2018 to see, is this about what we were feeling there? But like I said earlier, if you booked everybody that reached out to you, if you closed every single inquiry, you couldn't handle the work. And what that means is you don't need to close everybody who inquires. You need to close more of them. You don't need more inquiries. You just need to follow up better and more. So Amelia, first thing I would do is if you have a really long first reply, blow it up and start from scratch. If it's already short, now take a look at it and say, is all this information necessary? Does it sound like everybody else? Congratulations on your recent engagement. Great news. Your date is available. And, we'd love to give you pricing. When would you like to get on a phone call? If that's what you're saying, I'd blow that up and start over again too.
Great. And then last question here from AJ. In the context of selling the results and not the products and services, can you give us an example of verbalizing that? Like, what does that sound like? What does that look like?
Okay. ¿Cómo estás, amigo? That's my friend AJ down in Florida. So AJ is an entertainment company, unless there's another AJ on here, entertainment company. So you're not selling DJ services. You're not selling uplights. You're not selling photo booths. You're not selling any of that stuff. What you're selling is the experience. So I was just on a photo booth podcast earlier, and I said, every time you get an inquiry, you need to be getting answers to these 3 questions. What's the occasion? Who's coming? And what does a successful outcome look like, feel like? What does it look like to them? Okay. So AJ, when somebody comes to you, they already think that they need a DJ, but there's a lot of DJs in South Florida. As a matter of fact, there's demasiado DJs. There's too many DJs, right? So they came to you, which means you're on the short list. That's your sale to lose as far as I'm concerned. That you can blow that sale. You can win it. You can blow that sale. That's for you to say to them, thanks so much for reaching out. I would love to help you and your guests have an absolutely amazing time at your wedding. Right now, did they ask about pricing? If they asked about pricing, you either say, I'd love to give you pricing information. I want to make sure I don't leave out anything that's important to you and to make your wedding amazing. And I don't want you to pay for anything you don't need. Let me get a few details. Be happy to give you a price. New paragraph. Are you having both your ceremony and reception at the same location? So that would be that. The second one would be, thanks for reaching out. I'd love to help you and your guests have the most amazing time at your wedding. Our prices range from here to here. Most of our couples end up around here. Let me get a few details from you so I can help narrow that down, and then ask the first question again, right? So those are the 2 ways to do that. So you want to make sure you're using results-based phrasing. So thanks for reaching out. I'd love to help you and your guests have the most amazing, memorable time for your wedding. Right? Not thank you for reaching out. Good news, your date is available. That's very transactional. So try to not make it transactional, try to make it relational. Right? When you're speaking to someone, speak to them about the experience. They care about their experience more than yours. Right? It's not how many years of experience you have, how many weddings or events you've done. They care about their experience more than yours. So talk about that. Talk about the experience of them and their guests. Right? Ask questions like, so if you ask if they're having the ceremony reception at the same location, you say, oh, that's fantastic. I know that venue really well. We use it. I'm there all the time. Have you ever been to a wedding where you couldn't hear the vows that the couple was saying? And they come back and say, yeah. And you say, well, don't worry about that at your wedding. We're going to make sure from the first row to the last row that everybody can hear every word. We have the right equipment. What you're not going to do is say, we have discrete wireless microphones.
Right. What does that mean?
And we have Evolve 50s, right? They don't know what any of that is, right?
That's great. That's a great example there.
You want to sell a photo booth. Say, have you thought about something fun for your guests when they're not eating or dancing? And they're going to give you the Scooby-Doo look. And they're gonna say, like, what? And you say, well, some people dance all night. Some people dance sometimes. Some people don't dance. And some people are eating and they're finished, right? So you have all these people. What do you have for them to do? Well, I have an idea for you. I have an idea that's going to be a gift for you and a gift for them. Now imagine that when they're not eating or dancing, they go over and they find this photo booth and they're having fun and they're smiling and they're laughing. You've seen it. Everybody in there, right? They do the kissy face. They do the, hey, here we go. And have a great time. And the beautiful part is they get that picture and you get that picture. So now they have something to do when they're not eating or dancing. And after the wedding, you're going to get this gallery and you're going to be able to see a view of your wedding you've never got to see before.
I love that. Yeah, it's the experience, the result they're going to get, not the actual physical thing that provides the experience.
Right.
The old,
because the truth,
don't sell the drill, sell the hole, because that's what the people are buying the drill for.
right. And I love using that example too. It's like nobody buys a drill bit because they want a drill bit. They buy a drill bit because they need to make a hole, but then you have to go further. Well, why do they need to make a hole?
Right. What are you hanging? What are you doing?
Because they want to hang that. So I use an example in my office right over here. You guys can't see it, but there's cork, big cork tiles, big thick cork tiles. I have them on the wall over here. Well, I needed to get the cork tiles. I needed to get the glue to put the cork tiles on the wall. Okay, mission accomplished? No. Why did you want cork tiles? Like, is it for sound? No, it's because there's about 50 or 60 photos on this wall. There's my dad who passed last year. There's my father-in-law who passed a few years ago. There's my son and his fiance. There's my other son and his partner. There's my grandson from the time he was born 3.5 months early until 7 years old, right? That's why I needed cork.
Yeah.
I didn't need cork because I wanted cork. I wanted cork so I can see these faces. And by the way, there's a photo strip from a wedding in 2020 right on there. And every time I look at that picture, I'm transported back to that wedding. That photo booth is still giving now, 4 years later.
I love
if
that.
you're selling that, somebody will buy that.
Yeah.
If you're selling a photo booth, that's an expense.
Right. Oh, thank you so much, Alan. This has been fantastic. I will make sure everybody has these links. They're in the chat if you're here with us live. If not, they will be below in the description. And Alan, give us one place, your favorite place, if people want to get in touch with you and learn more about what you do.
Easiest place is my website. It's my name, alanberg.com, ALANBERG.com. There's a link to my podcast there and all the platforms. There's a link to my shop. Don't forget to use the coupon code podcast. You will get free shipping on that. There's a link to my services there. So if you want help with sales training, website reviews, consulting, want me to speak for your association. By the way, if you belong to an association, I could be able to speak for free for your association. If you want to find out how, reach out to me and I'll tell you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here and for your great questions. I'll make sure we get this up. The replay is going to be on the I Do Society's YouTube channel. So we will have that up there very soon for you with all of the links. And Alan, thank you again for being here. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. And if you guys want to go to reviewalanberg.com, that's my Google reviews. Doesn't hurt.
All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Take care. Bye.